Dylan here. This is a video response to a Venom Fang X video called Saving Muslims from Islam and Hell. Now, in this video I'm going to explain this is a video directed to Sean, to you, Venom Fang X, and I'm going to explain that what you're doing is irrational and basically immoral. I'm not going to quote any Bible verses, any Torah verses, any Quran verses, any verse from any holy book. I'm not going to do it. I'm only going to quote some philosophers. And that'll be it for today. Now, right now, I can sum up the error of your ways, Venom Fang X, or Sean, whatever you prefer. I can sum up the error of your ways in one quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, who was a German philosopher he lived from about 1822 to 1900. I might be wrong on that, but anyways, his quote was from was very early in his philosophy career. I think it was from one of his very early books. Well, the quote is, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to make him hold high esteems in those who think alike rather than those who think differently." Now, what that basically means is that you shouldn't be selfish. You shouldn't think that the people, you and the people who think like you, are going to get to heaven, are going to get the promised land, because, well, that's basically being selfish. But believing that what you believe is the only good way, well, that's basically morally corrupt, basically. Because we don't know who is right and who is wrong. It could be the Muslims, it could be the Jews, for all we know, it could be the Buddhists, the Hinduists, any religion. We don't know, because all of our holy books were written by people who had little knowledge of science, and as Kierkegaard said, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, but as he said, it requires a leap of faith to believe in something that cannot be proved by science. In fact, I've got another quote from a philosopher by the name of Karl Marx. He said that religion is the impotence of the human mind to produce a reason for something that cannot be proved by science. Basically, if you saw a hand coming out of the sky and reaching down into the water and pulling up a bunch of fish and then coming back up into a cloud, you would think most people would be astounded, and they wouldn't have any logical reason to believe that was by science. They couldn't figure out what kind of science that was, so they go to a divine source. They take a leap of faith, as he said. And finally, Immanuel Kant said on the purpose of ethics and morality, Immanuel Kant said that it is the categorical imperative. A categorical imperative is a universal law by which we must all follow. All of our actions must follow the categorical imperative, otherwise they would be irrational. Now, if the society was to set a moral standard, that would be the universal law, the categorical imperative that we must follow. A hypothetical imperative is a law or a law followed under a certain condition. Like, if I said that murder was right and you said that murder was wrong, that would be a hypothetical imperative, because what I believe is not set to the moral standard of our society. Therefore, it is against the universal law, and it is irrational. And Immanuel Kant said that it is our duty by the categorical imperative to respect, I repeat, respect other rational human beings. And, well, you might come up with the argument that terrorism, well, speaking about Muslims, terrorism isn't rational. Well, I know it is, because terrorism is using violence to get political ends. Violence is the mean, violence is the action, the principle, and to get your way in politics is the end, the means to an end. But let me tell you that I believe it's less than 1/4 of Muslims are terrorists. Less than 1/4 of Muslims. Most Muslims want peace. Most Muslims aren't terrorists. And I believe that's where you go wrong, because we don't know who's right. We don't know if our living God is eternal. And I'll speak about that in a later video, about why we can't prove that God is eternal. Now, back to the subject. And to conclude, I'd just like to say that I'm glad you stopped your videos on Muslims, because we need to respect other religions. It's in the Constitution, religious freedom. Well, I wrote a song about religious hate, and someday I'll perform it and on a video for you. Well, I know, Sean, you're not as bad as the Westboro Baptist Church. Thank God you're not as bad. So I'd rather prefer you over Shirley Phelps anytime, or Fred Phelps. So, to close, just thank you for taking your time to look at this video. And by the way, I'm 14 and I'm in 9th grade.